What's interesting is that under President Obama, the government, President Obama used the internet very well and was very effective with it, as everyone knows. And he has advisors and so on who are trying to shape the use of the digital media. And so they're trying to push OpenID as well in the government sites. And so there's now these pilots and everything else where OpenID is being used to access government information. So that's very interesting because it's a different model than the one used in Europe where the government provides the identities. This is one where the government leverages identities provided by other claims providers. Now, OpenID is widely available for software, for ISVs to incorporate. So if you are building that kind of new services-based thing, you really should, and it's oriented towards consumers, you should be looking into OpenID. But the problem is, oops, I'm going to go back. The problem is that OpenID has a bunch of significant security problems. Because let me just talk a bit about the way it works. With OpenID, when you go to the site that you're going to, the application, the site says, well, where are you from? And you put in basically the name of your claims provider. And then OpenID sends you over to your claims provider, and you type in your username and password. And then the claims provider sends you back to the application. Well, the problem is if you're starting to use this all over the place, and then I go to, Evil Steve's site, right? And so what he's done is he's set me up to send me back to a site that scrapes whatever I put in and puts me on Evil Steve's lookalike page. So I'm on, Evil Steve's. I use OpenID, but I'm on Evil Steve's OpenID.
Well, that would be me.
And I enter in my username and password, and guess what? He's got access to every single thing I can get at where I use OpenID. So, I'm one of these people. I've been doing this long enough that I'm much more concerned about the errors I'm committing than I am about the positive things I'm accomplishing. And so, if we look at this, we really have the possibility of producing something that would be dysfunctional. So I've been working really hard on how can we make sure that when we do things like OpenID and all of this identity metasystem stuff, that we make things better, not worse. So I'm going to show you how the information card paradigm linked to the OpenID paradigm makes that Evil Steve scenario go away. Sorry, Steve. So here's, I'm going to Plaxo, more about that in a moment. I choose sign in with OpenID, and now I see my OpenID information card. It is the one that takes me to my site. So Plaxo can't send me there. Yeah, in the selector. And now I'm into OpenID. So we're always laughing about the, low drama demos for identity. I mean, what I showed you was nothing happened, right? I just went to the site, and up came the OpenID thing, and I clicked on it, and I saw a thing that said, okay, I clicked on that. But just that even though it's very small, that's incredibly important, because now a system that otherwise would be a recipe for disaster is safe and works and so on. And it fits inside this wider meta system model. Now I want you to look carefully here, because you'll see that this is my Plaxo account, and you'll see I haven't linked with anyone. So if you ever tried to link with me and I didn't link, you'll know why. I've never forgiven Plaxo because they used to steal my, if anybody sent in your name, they started putting you on all these, anyway, I won't go there. They're good now, they're excellent now.
White hat on one day.
Yeah.
Ooh, whoops, sorry.
So I'm going to talk about what if you have all of these systems going and sending identity around, and you could easily end up with something where everybody knows who you are on all of these different sites, and you basically have a database key that links you everywhere you do digital interactions. And if you do digital interactions, 10 years from now, what won't be digital? Except love, maybe. Well, and even that, the way things are going. So it's all going to be digital, and that means everything is linked up. And so now you can have robots and so on that go and just assemble all of that. And of course, you can say, well, people wouldn't do that. But of course, money being money, and people being people, ultimately, that actually leads to this scenario, which is really the opposite of what most people expect from their interaction. So, is it possible to do this identity stuff and not do that? And I'm one of these people. I know a lot of people think privacy people are nuts. I think privacy people are the equivalent of security people in the 1990s. Like in the 1990s, we had these security people going, this stuff is insecure, it's all going to break down, and everybody will lose data and so on, and everybody said, oh, shut up. Get out of here, I'm trying to ship a product, give me a break. What do you want me to do, go bankrupt? No. Then in 2001 and so on, everything gets hacked, it all starts to fall apart. Oh, these people were really stupid. They didn't build security into their products, right? Meanwhile, of course, there have been all those people saying, well, today it's the same thing with privacy in my view. You have the privacy nuts who are there, just like the security nuts who are there. And if we don't do something about it 10 years from now, it's all going to blow up from a security point of view, and we'll have the same kind of really negative impact on our industry, as well as really sad things happening. So I became very interested in this notion of minimal disclosure tokens. Let's look at that for a minute. The idea is that we only release as information what's necessary in order to get a job done. In other words, we have a need-to-know system. We borrow a bit from the military, and they are experts in this need-to-know architecture. The need-to-know architecture could be very, very helpful for the whole internet. So what we want to do is I think this ties into Doc's thinking too, and I'll come back to how that works. So let me give you an example of, there's some relying party that wants me to prove that I'm over 21 and I'm from Washington. I could give them my name and my address and my birth date, and they now have all of that linking information. On the other hand, I could just give them what they need. So imagine there's an identity provider. The identity provider has issued me with this statement about who I am. I'm able to blot out the stuff that they don't need, and you'll notice that I turned my birth date into an over 21 proof, and then that gets sent from there to the relying party. And the relying party now has the information it requires, but if it goes, which adult is this? Even if it collaborates with the identity provider, it can't find out. So there's no tracking goo other than what the user decides to release. So this is a big breakthrough because it's still cryptographic, it's still provable, but there's no tracking goo. So here's an example of that. I go to my dating website, don't tell my wife. This website wants me to prove both my age and my sex, which of course is helpful. So, what information will be sent? Well, just my gender and my age. No other stuff, because when I'm going to a dating site, I don't really want to release a lot of information about who I am, until I've met somebody who I want to date. At that point, and yet the person who's deciding to date me, I know this is a ridiculous example. Somebody else made the demo, okay? Younger person. So there you have, but you see the idea. I think it's very, very important idea. Absolutely crucial. So I've written about this in what's called the laws of identity.